I'm Joe Kendrick, feeling very, very good about being here with Paul Riddle, original drummer for the Marshall Tucker Band. Also Joe Bennett, lead singer and guitarist for Joe Bennett and the Sparkle Tones. David Lee, producer, songwriter, performer, impresario in general, and also Jason Perlmutter, archivist, DJ, record producer, all here to talk to you and with you about the music that you love. And music is a great unifying force, and it's what's brought us all here together in this room and on live out there in the various parts of the world. We look forward to your comments. All right, so moving along, and we've all had this common theme tonight of talking about records and music from the region. And another part of that is talking a little bit about analog recording. Now, some of the analog recording technology is he's not really making, I don't know if you would call it a resurgence, but a lot of people still like to record to tape instead of using Pro Tools and recording digitally nowadays. But also talking a little bit about analog instruments. And lately up in Asheville with Moog Fest making a big splash, and Robert Moog, who spent a good part of the latter part of his life in our own region, famous for making the Moog synthesizer an analog instrument, even though you might not think of it like, a wooden instrument. It's definitely very much, futuristic, especially when it came out. You guys have any comments on, working with analog instruments now? I know, back earlier in your careers, there probably wasn't a whole lot to be done with digitally, but especially with recording technology, I imagine you might have a few things to say about your experience with analog recording to tape versus digital recording like you have nowadays.
I'm glad I learned on analog as far as learning to listen and learning to hear. When we did all our records, of course, on analog, and for years, when I started producing, we were still using tape too, and I'm glad because you just listen different. I mean, we kind of get lazy sometimes now because we can see everything, but it still comes back to your ears. I mean, everybody argues. To me, I mean, this is my opinion. I mean, they both work. I mean, I think analog's great, and I think it sounds warm and great and fat and wonderful. But digital's cool too. It just depends on. Analog's a little more forgiving sometimes, but it just depends. It depends on what you're doing. But at the end of the day, it's the musician and the players, and if you got the right players and the right atmosphere, you can set it up right here, and it's going to be magic. To me, that's what it's all about. I mean, sonically, you can talk all day long about this record sounds great and this record sounds great and all that, and it's true. I mean, I love records that sound great too, but at the end of the day, it's the performance is really what I'm after. It's like the great Tom Dowd that even invented some of the analog equipment. I had humbly the pleasure of working with him twice. A record that we did, and then I got to see him up close work with Allman Brothers, which I wish I had on film. But I mean, it was all about, he would go out and stand in front of Butchie and J-Mo's drums, and he would listen to how they sounded, and it was all about how they sounded, how they really sounded, when he would do those records. And so I just loved that, and I mean, I could go on and on about different producers that I learned from, and that's why I was so drawn to start producing, because I just loved them. Stuart Levine, Paul Hornsby, our old producer, and they all had different techniques, and they were totally different, but they were all incredibly gifted. And so, anyway, I just appreciate it all. And then you got these guys that work with Pro Tools. That's amazing. The guys I work, like I mentioned, Timmy Lauder, Buddy Strong, over in Greenville at Southeastern Sound. He's brilliant with Pro Tools, and there's so many people in the area, once again, that are great engineers and in the studio that can do both. So, I think I like both, but I certainly love analog too.
The issue that comes up in the work that I do, working on reissues of vinyl, is what source are you going to use? And in most cases, we don't have tapes to work with, so that's a problem. The records themselves need to be digitized and then pressed back onto record if that's what we're going to do. And I'm fine with that if that's the only way we have to do it. As long as the music is getting back out there, I think that's a good thing.
Okay, we've got a comment coming in from our Twitter feed for Paul. Paul, this is actually going back to our conversation earlier. What's the rarest vinyl platter that you were on? Any rare Tucker records we need to know about?
As far as I know, everything has been released. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some live things. I'm certain there's some live things floating around that I don't know about or haven't heard or whatever. But as far as I know, basically our whole catalog's been re-released.
What about before Marshall Tucker? Were you on any 45s or albums before that?
No. The first time I walked in a recording studio
Wow.
was at Mark V Studio in Greenville, when it was truly a gospel studio, when they had piano and 4 chick singers on Sunday morning, and they said, "He's bringing drums in here," and Tommy Caldwell said, "Yes, sir, he is," and that's what it was like. And we had never recorded. We didn't know what we sounded like, really, hardly. I mean, barely. Recording back then was like going to the moon. It was like, you're recording. It was a big deal, and so we didn't have, to go in the studio was really expensive, and we didn't have any money certainly, and so really the first. We did one demo at Mark V, which was basically our first record, and then we recorded a demo at Muscle Shoals, which I just wanted to walk in there and go, man, I stood at Muscle Shoals, and then we went straight to Capricorn and recorded our first record.
What was that first demo? Did that come out? The one you did at Mark V?
No. I always liked a lot of the harmonies on Take the Highway we never used, so anyway. They were better. But anyway, so I didn't even know. We didn't know really. I never will forget when the first record was finally done, hearing it in sequence. It was interesting to hear what we sounded like tune after tune, because it was so different just playing it all the time and rehearsing day in and day out for a year before we even started. So anyway.
Well, in the category of analog instruments, obviously guitars, an easy one to pick out. What's your favorite guitar, Joe?
There's only one guitar, as far as I'm concerned, the magic guitar. And that's a Fender Stratocaster. Yeah. I mean, that's what I cut my teeth on. Cut my teeth on that, and I went in the Air Force. They sent me to Madrid, Spain. So I got in a little group over there with my Stratocaster. And the other guitar player had an ES-335, Gibson ES-335. And I liked the color red, he liked my Strats, so we traded. And so now I found out within the past few months that my guitar is worth around $21,000. Now I know that's hard to believe. But that guitar had all of the original electronics in it. Naturally, it was 56 Strat. And so all the electronics in it were the same old stuff. I can't believe it because now the electronics are so much better. They don't break down as often, but people go crazy over an old Strat.
Yeah. How about you, David? Any favorite guitars in memory?
I really don't. I don't know. We take, like on the LP where Bill played, I don't know the name of the guitar he played, but Bill Allen was really good on there, and the group that backed him. And that was Ann Sexton Band. I just like for people to get it and just try it out and hear that guitar, and the guitar that Bill Allen played. But he really can play, and the group band that backed him, they went in the studio. You mentioned Mark V, didn't you? They went in Mark V and had never seen Bill before, and they was out there with like an hour and a half. So didn't take long. They just played it, and it's on the LP, and I want you to hear it. It's good. It's very good.
Now, Paul, obviously there's not a lot of digital drums, they're drum machines and stuff, but as far as live performance, I think that's been fairly constant over the years, is that drum kits remain drum kits. What's your favorite brand or rig?
Well, I'm playing actually once again in the area. Freddie Wooten, I'm playing 2 kits. I'm endorsing Palmetto Drums after all these years. I've always wanted to play Freddie's drums, and he's made me 2 kits. I played his snare drums for years. He gave me a snare drum. I went out, I did 2 tours with Allman Brothers when J-Mo was ill. And the first tour I did with Allman Brothers, I took a snare drum that Freddie gave me and played it for like, I don't know, 25 shows or something, and never tweaked it and the thing. And Butchie was going, "What is that snare drum?" And I said, "That's my buddy made it," you know. And so he's made. I'm playing 2 kits. I've got two kits that Freddie's made me that I just love. So I'm endorsing Palmetto drums. Beautiful drums.
Very good, very good. Well, I think that's about a wrap for this edition of Lingua Musica. Hey, thank you, Paul, Joe, David,
My pleasure. Thank
Jason.
you.
Thank you to everybody here
pleasure.
at the showroom, and thank you for watching online. Enjoyed hearing from everybody tonight, and we're going to stay here and enjoy a little bit more of the Antibodies with the Pulse Dancers. Don't go anywhere.
Please, a huge round of applause for our panelists. I am sure you all are with me when I say that was some really good conversation. That was some fun stuff. Please stick around and check out the Antibodies. They're going to be up here for a little while. We are going to continue to live stream them at www.linguamusicalive.com. There is a tip jar right back there by our sign-up sheet, email, info, and business cards. That tip jar money is going to the band. So thank you for your time, thank you for your support, and thank you for sticking around to listen to the Antibodies.
Sits in the same chair, the same lights, the same hair, the same music. Something very different. Can't be measured, can't be felt, can't be measured. This is sad. So they tried to ask his girlfriend a stupid question of life fair or unfair, or we just got scapegoats, and she goes, "What? What? Can't be measured, can't be felt, can't be measured. This is really sad." She looks like something I can't resist. Her clothes are sharp as senses like perfume to a breeze.